do. Moving over to the road team, Juventus, Wojciech Szczesny in goal, as always. They went with Danilo, De Ligt, and Bonucci in the back with Matteo De Scelio, who's been coming on of late. Midfield would be Weston McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot, with the front three of Dybala, Vlahovic, and Morata. Obviously, this is a front three that's very, very potent, but also of note in this game, it was Paulo Dybala's 200th game. 200 appearances, I guess, with Juventus, I should say. He was always going to be the key man, I think, for me in this lineup, Frank. Thoughts on the starting lineup and what role, I guess, Dybala could play in this triumvirate in the front?
It was too narrow. Not having Cuadrado for me, I think, was from the start was an issue. But I also understand what Allegri was going for here with Danilo and De Scelio as the fullbacks. When you got wing backs coming forward and attacking, and that can be dangerous and can create scoring chances. Then Danilo and De Scelio are better defenders in the fullback position than Cuadrado is. So I understand the need to do it. You don't want to take out Morata because I think that this Vlahovic inclusion has given him a spark. He's been able to show some passing range from the forward position. McKennie's your guy that's, like we talked about with Barella for Inter. McKennie's your guy that's going to go and get into the spaces that the forwards are leaving on cutbacks, crosses, things like that. He's going to be the midfielder that kind of pushes forward and becomes part of the attack, where Rabiot and Locatelli appeared to be the guys that were going to stay home. And I think that the other reason for Danilo and De Scelio and not Cuadrado is to give some protection to Bonucci and De Ligt, because this is a center back pairing that is very easy to put under. But this puts a lot of stress on Paulo Dybala. And I asked the question before the game, in 5 years, in a big game away from the J, when have you seen Paulo Dybala step up against a big opponent and deliver? And now you're going to put all of the burden on him to do it. By doing this lineup, you don't have Cuadrado in a wider position that can pull some people and give him a little more room to operate. So the formation for me was narrow in attack going forward, because Danilo and De Scelio were not put in there to provide width and go forward and provide crosses. They were there to hold, to help the center backs where they were needed to help the center backs, to defend the wing backs 1v1. So when I looked at it right away, I said, I think that this Juve attack could end up being pretty predictable.
Yeah, that's a good shout. And what I think, we talk about predictable, a player who many people thought they have pegged as Weston McKennie. You talk about he's that box-to-box guy, but it seems of last couple of weeks, he's growing in confidence, Frank, and it seems like he's doing a little bit more. And yes, I have a little bit more of a bias with him because I followed him for the longest time. But
sure,
he's gotten better and better, not only with the U.S. men's national team, but also with Juventus. And we saw in this game as well that he wasn't only doing the grunt work. He had some creativity in him, creating some opportunities. What do you think about him? Is it because Allegri is instilling him this confidence that he's gaining more stronger, I guess, during the games? What are your thoughts on Weston McKennie's progression so far this season with Juventus?
I thought the same thing with him when I watched this first half. He wasn't afraid to take people on 1v1, turn some crosses, get in. There were moments where he was getting in front of Dybala on the right-hand side, and that was working. And that was an interesting dynamic. I think, that he's been able to score some goals for Juventus, that he's been able to, I think that has given him the confidence. He's got great energy. He plays with great energy. He's decent on the tackle. I won't say he's exceptional on it. And the attacking stuff, it seems like there's some pretty good instincts in a midfield role that he plays. And Sam's making the point. Great Metzela. I agree.
Yeah.
So,
and the refinery of his touch is gonna get better, right? It's obviously that's a weakness for him, but
there's some flaws in his technique, but
absolutely.
But he's growing and he's in a good environment to grow.
Yeah, and I think with the characters around, I was talking with some Juventini before the match about their midfield. Obviously, Locatelli is going to be someone they're going to think about in the future. Rabiot, not so much. If Arthur can regain some form and Zakaria can live up to a potential, and with Gatti as well, you might have a decent midfield here. At present, they're not there, but there's pieces there that could potentially get there if everyone lives up to what they're capable of. So, yeah, I do like that about McKennie this year. And you talk about the narrowness of the front three for Juventus, and going into this game, I thought it's going to be all Atalanta, at least with the pressure, and Juve are going to have to live on the counter. I thought Juventus did very well in this game, especially in the first half, to create opportunities. I think Dybala kind of went out of his way to try to be the playmaker more than he should have, and he took it on chances that he probably should have gave it to Vlahovic or Morata. But some chances were created, and I think this ended up being a blessing in disguise for Atalanta because Sportiello was able to get into the game quickly and got into a zone.
I think he set the tone with that save on Vlahovic in the first half. I had a lot of admiration for Vlahovic to make that decision to try that shot. This is what I like about. And this is a huge thing that I like about Vlahovic. He is a striker. He is a striker's striker. If we can use that phrase, or if you use that term, he'll take every chance that is available to him. 10% chance to score, I'm gonna take it. 50 half chance to score, full chances. He takes every chance, and this was one that I had my son look at, and I said, because my son plays as a striker, and I told him, I said, "What did he do? Just had it.
Shoot.
Don't take the guy on. You got enough space. You got to look. Have it. And that's a thing that impresses me about him. I'm not ready to give up on my position about how I think he'll do in the big picture for Juventus. I think he'll be successful. I still don't think he'll be as productive as he was at Fiorentina, but I still think he'll be successful. But when you have him taking chances like this, that's huge for Juventus. But at the same time, the save from Sportiello set the tone for him. Okay? Because I'll tell you what, if that's a goal, you could look at Juve possibly winning this game 3-0. Yeah. Because that's one of those that, as a goalkeeper, you're like, oh boy, what am I, I'm the backup. What am I getting myself into?
Yeah.
But he made the save, and I think that set the tone for him as the game wore on.
Is it me, or does just watching Vlahovic, and I'm not a Vlahovic fanboy or anything by any stretch, but you watch him with Juventus, and it looks like he fits just right for Juventus with that jersey. He's that striker like you talk about. He's going after these goals. He looks like he's embracing the spotlight, if you will. And you want that in a striker. You don't want him to cower and hide away. And that we've seen so many strikers that with all this potential who kind of cower when they go to a bigger team. He's not doing that. He looks like he's embracing this, and he loves that kind of challenge. It's nice to see as a neutral saying like, oh, he looks like he fits for Juventus. Well, whether he produce, we'll see. But I think, at least from my perspective, he looks like he's just a right fit for Juventus. I don't know if you see the same thing or not.
I see a very fearless guy that wants to go at it, and I think that you have to have that attitude if you're coming into that situation. However, this was the first game where he was tested, and this is the game where he was figured out a little bit. Okay, he picked up a yellow card because, and I think he showed defenders in Serie A something, that you can get tight on him in the midfield and you can knock him a little bit. You can knock him around a little bit, and it's going to throw him off a little. Okay, that he's a young player. We're still talking about a young player that hasn't overcome defenders doing that to him. That's the question that I would say that needs to be answered with him. He's got to learn how to overcome that kind of stuff. He's got to learn now that he's a marked man. Yeah. Okay. And that he's going to have to adapt to that. I'm not going to go so far to say that he's been found out, because he still creates chances for himself and for his teammates. Yeah. But that little part of his game that Demiral did to him, okay, and that Toloy and those guys did, you can get under his skin a little. And that's something that he's going to have to fix. But I love how fearless the guy is. He's attacking this thing. He's embracing the responsibility. But that is something in his game that I saw. The yellow card is something that he's going to have to understand. He's going to have to week in and week out. He's going to have to put on the big boy pants, because the more he plays, the more defenders in this league are going to figure him out, and he's going to have to find something. He's going to have to find something now to turn on those defenders to keep being productive.
Yeah, if you want to be on that David Trezeguet level, you need to really, clean up your mental game and work out those weaknesses that he has. Right. But he still has a lot of potential. And Ollie Oxenfree makes a good point that, Piontek kind of started the same way with Milan too, right? He had a lot of hype about it.
He exploded,
exploded on the scene. Hopefully, for Juventus' sake, that he doesn't have the same ending as Piontek. We'll see. Piontek's back, I guess, in our lives again. So, but yeah, it's interesting to answer Cambilasso's point or question, I should say. I think Juventus needs another midfielder personally. I don't think this midfield is good enough at the moment for what they want to achieve, which is a Scudetto.
But how long do you keep flipping midfielders at Juventus? At some
I don't
point,
know if they need to flip. I think I need to bring in one big time midfielder. That's a big time. Someone's better than what they have right now.
At some point, you've got to just take your collective and just have them play together. I mean, that's my take. I think you keep having this revolving door of midfielders coming to Juventus.
Yeah.
The Pogba return. You don't want that, Sam. You do not want that. The headache to talent ratio, I would not bring him in. But hey,
I think
he can sell some. He might sell some jerseys.
Go ahead.
I just think at some point you just have to have a collective of midfielders. You got to stop bringing guys in, sending guys out, and saying, okay, we're going to stick with this group. We're going to cultivate them. We're going to get them to play together and get them to be dynamic. I don't know what more they can do, and I don't know who they can attract to come there.
That's fair. That's fair.
So that's the other challenge. So there's a collection of midfielders here that are pretty good that just need time to play together, but you also have to give them the roles that fit them best. I don't think Locatelli's a center midfielder to sit in front of a back four.
No.
Locatelli should play what McKennie's playing.
Yep.
Okay. You got two guys that are functionally the same, but you're now putting the square peg in the round hole with Locatelli, and I don't think that's his role. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that guy. Zakaria might be that guy.
Yeah, he has the potential to be that guy. He's not there yet, but he has the potential to be that. So my thing with Juventus is if Juventini are okay with possibly not making a top four, then I say by all means, because I think this midfield could develop into that midfield for them. But if they're content on trying to go for the Scudetto and make the Champions League, I think the four teams in front of them, or three of them plus Atalanta, all have better midfielders than them. And that's if their goal is to be in the top four, top three, go for the Scudetto, midfield's not going to do it. Eventually, if you let them play together, I do think they're going to get there, but it's going to take time. I think McKennie's starting to develop. We're seeing that. Locatelli will eventually get to where he needs to be. Zakaria, if he can reach his potential, this could be a really good triumvirate. And Gatti has potential in him as well. He's got some good skill set. I think is a really good pickup for them. But they're not there yet. It's going to take some time. And that's why I think if they want to go for that push now, they need someone to bring in to really become that playmaker and create some opportunities. But
I love how the chat's chiming in on this too.
Yeah. Exactly what we're talking about here,
Yeah. I'll give you a name. Guy I've been kind of touting the last few weeks. Manolo Portanova.
I thought you were going to say Fratesi. No, Portanova's good though. Yes, it's a good shot. Good job.
Manolo Portanova. I think that you can put him in a midfield. You can put him if you want to play a 4-3-3 like this. I think you can put him in a midfield role and have him kind of play that playmaking role. From a deeper lying position, you take some attention away from Dybala. You take some attention away from Quadrado when he's in the game.
Yep.
I'm not ready to make him a Juventus player, a Juventus quality player just yet, but I'm impressed with what I've seen from his work at Genoa under Blessin, especially under Blessin. Yep. So that would be a name. Yeah, Fratesi, sure. But I think with Fratesi, you're just getting another Locatelli. You just got that guy already.
Yeah. I think Inter want him more anyway.
Right. So,
and I think that front three for Juventus eventually can be lethal. They just got to learn to play with each other more. And so,
Yeah.
And we're talking all Juventus, and Juventus did some good things in the first half.